Okay.
Very, very good end to the innings, I would say.
Very good end. Way off our
Predictions,
predicted targets. But there are two new additions. One, hopefully, he will join us from Sydney. Network issues.
Fingers crossed.
Permitting. And here in the studio, we have Pragyan Ojha with us.
Pragyan, thanks for joining us.
Very much, and after having been on air virtually we have been seeing Pragyan all this while on Sports Today. Today we have him in person. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, Pragyan.
Pleasure. I think anything for cricket.
Of course. 179 for 2 and 62 of 44 from Virat Kohli and attacking 50 from Rohit Surya. Surya 51 of 25. I don't know what that man is made up of nowadays. KL Rahul, we'll come to KL Rahul later. But Pragyan, there is already comments been made that Virat 62 of 44 failed to accelerate, or do you think this is his template of batting now?
I think if you look at India's point of view, I think the way you see the game is poised, 179 for 2. It's a good score. Yeah. But when you see the opponents, Netherlands, you would say maybe they would have got at least another, say 15-20 runs.
Yep.
Because this game I see as an opportunity to better your net run rate. Why I am saying that is, when you're playing important games and rain is being a spoiled sport. So when you play against Netherlands or someone like Zimbabwe, what you would like to do? India won the toss, they batted.
Yep.
The very first reason you could make out is that they're trying to better their net run rate by putting a big score and beating. With this score, I know India will, but I was expecting more because they didn't lose their wickets.
Yes, only 2 wickets. Correct. Yep.
But sitting from outside, as it looked like, because of the rain, the wicket was little holding up a bit. It wasn't easy, but I think these 3 guys batted brilliantly.
Yes.
So the credit goes to them. But personally, I felt 15-20 runs maybe
short.
Added that cherry on top.
Yes.
But what is it with Surya now? And I think we saw it even in the Asia Cup, where I think it was against Hong Kong, where everyone was struggling on a slow deck. He comes out and he's hitting sixes for fun. He just seems to have that in his arsenal at this point.
Yep. And we are joined from Sydney by Nikhil. And Nikhil, can you hear us?
Yes, Nikhil.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, and Pragyan is also with us from his very busy schedule.
I can see all of you guys. Pragyan with these fancy shoes, I can even see those.
Hi.
Hi. So, what I knocked there by Surya Kumar Yadav, I know everyone's going to talk about Virat being the top scorer and of course a half century for Rohit Sharma. But Sky, the way he turns it on, it looks like as if he's hitting shots at will. And I am honest when I say this. I've never seen anyone pick the gaps so comfortably as Sky does. He glances around between the balls for the gap, and just looks around at 2-3 areas. You can see him glancing, and he'll find a way to find those areas, whichever way he makes adjustments to his batting. Absolutely outstanding inning that I got to witness. But I'd love to know from Pragyan, what does KL Rahul need to do to get some runs?
Oh boy.
I think he's been batting really well. To be very frank, we saw in the warm-up games he did well. It is not like he's looking to find his form. It is just that he could not convert, and unfortunately he did not play enough that we can say that he's not batting well or he's not timing the ball well. So we just have to be little patient. That's all we can say from cricketing point of view, because he's not faced enough deliveries. And when you talk about his timing and skill, he's up there when we saw those warm-up games. So we just have to wait and see. And as a former cricketer or a cricket fan, I would have loved to see him perform here, because this is a game where you look to do everything right and prepare yourself well for the upcoming games.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you got to see it there, but I looked at the replays. I think it was missing. Surprised that they didn't go for the review. I know that sometimes maybe it's difficult for you to. He spoke to his captain. If the captain says it was hitting, then he had no option. Had it been someone else at the non-striker end, other than Rohit Sharma, let's say Sky or someone, I don't think KL would have even thought about it and would have probably gone. But sometime with the captain around, I think he decided not to do it. But see, that's the thin line between getting runs. See, luck. Look at Rohit Sharma. His catch was also dropped early on in his innings, but then made the most of it. It's that minor thing that you have to look at. Maybe for KL, if they had gone up to the third umpire, would have been not out from there. Who knows? He could have been one of those guys with a 50 here. I don't know.
Absolutely, I think that's what we all, it's easier said than done, because at that point, in split of a second, you have to take decisions.
Yes.
And as a captain, as a leader of the pack, you have to also understand that you have only 2 reviews.
Yes.
Do you want to use it wisely? So there's a lot of things that you need to address within those 15 seconds. So it's very tough. I know when we get the review, when we look at in a slow motion, we understand that maybe it is missing. But at that point in time, it is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, as they say.
Yeah.
And in this case, it definitely, because again, it's split second, and Rohit, generally speaking, I think one of the reasons, aside from obviously KL, being facing up against his skipper there, is that Rohit is a very good reviewer. So if he's saying, look, it's out.
Yeah, human error at times, it happens. But as I said, you just have 15 seconds. It's very tough. I've been there. When you look at those reviews from outside, it is totally different. And when you're there in the middle, you're back of the mind, you're thinking about those 15 seconds, and then you're talking to your player, and then you're trying to decide whether to go for it or not. So at times it is little tricky.
It is. Or maybe we should be like Viru, immediately take a review. Maybe.
Or maybe like MS Dhoni.
Of course, MS Dhoni. Yes. So Nikhil, first impression, do you think that the pitch has slowed down compared to the South Africa-Bangladesh game?
Could have. Also, I mean, it because of the rain, I think the outfield was also a bit heavy comparatively. If you go compare it to what we saw in the earlier game, that does tend to happen. But I think again, when I look at then Surya Kumar Yadav, he finds a way to get runs at 200 strike rate also, no matter what the condition. But I don't think this Netherlands team has that batting firepower. Usually, when you see upsets in games like this, I think it's mostly when more established teams or the more favored teams have a batting collapse. That's when you usually get to see upsets. But if you put up a decent score, a pass score, or slightly above pass score, as India has done, seldom does an associate nation able to chase that. So I think that may have been what was the thinking behind India's batting approach. That maybe, instead of going all out attack, you could sometimes get a below par total, then you allow the opposition to get a chance. If you get a par total or around that, then 9 times out of 10, the other team has no option or the ability to chase it down. I think that's the kind of approach that India had in this particular game. And I think safety first, not surprising at all. Now, you won the first pressure game. Now you just want to be safe to ensure that all the remaining games, you don't slip up. Even if there's like a 5-10% chance of any slip up, you try and avoid that. And I think the Indian team tried to do that today.
Okay, so because net run rate, that's what you mentioned, Pragyan.
Yeah.
South Africa are now plus 5.2. And India, if they have to win by a big margin, by the way, Max O'Dowd, the big Hulk, is coming out to bat with Vikramjit Singh. And
yes,
if you have to look at it, Nikhil, are you happy with the way how Virat Kohli approached this inning 62 of 44? Because Surya 51 of 25, 200 strike rate. Is this his new template of batting?
No, I mean, he's been batting like this for some time now. You know that. I was a bit surprised initially because it did look like as if India will not get. But I think he's finished with a 140 strike rate. You can't complain. I think Rohit Sharma had a 135, 36 sort of a strike rate. So he struck that. He's also a highest run getter. And probably each team will have to make some sort of leeway to have a batsman like this in their ranks. So it's the other guys that will have to come up. Each team would like to have a Virat Kohli. I mean, today if you had to go to any international team and say that, hey, this is the Virat Kohli you will get, who averages close to 90 in T20 internationals. So, and he'd get you a 50 every game, but at a strike rate of 130, 140, somewhere in between them, will you take it? I think there'll be no team in the world who won't take it. So I think we have that luxury of having him. So might as well, you take that. And then when you've got someone like a Hardik or a Sky or even a DK later who can push the run rate, then get someone. See, again, that is the exact approach of the same player who won you that game against Pakistan when wickets fell. So there's no way that no team would need a player like that. And I think he and should be lucky, consider ourselves lucky that we have a guy like that.
Okay, so we are about to start the Indian innings at this point in time. Pragyan, do you think on this kind of wicket, which is holding up slightly, Chahal missing out, do you think it's unlucky on him, or do you think that they don't want to make too many changes considering that Aksar probably had a bad day against Pakistan?
See, it will be very unfair. After every game, if you look to change, then it becomes very tough. When you have given chance to a 11, you have to stick to it, and you have to remember the way we beat Pakistan.
Yes.
After that, you don't need to change. You need to give those couple of games to your players. And one point I need to add about Virat. See, Virat Kohli gives you that stability.
Yes.
So he's the one who takes the game along. So his job is different. And whenever it is needed, we have seen what Virat Kohli can deliver.
Correct.
Oh, yes.
So he is a guy who can be versatile. That is the reason why I say more than Virat opening, he should bat number 3 because he can change the gears easily, better than others. So he, Kane Williamson, these are the guys who can take the game along. And from South Africa, I know Faf is not there, but Faf was someone who could do that.
Yep,
so you have to look at them in a different way.
Yep.
You cannot always talk about strike rates or he's not been hitting those sixes and boundaries. You have to see if he's there, other guys are getting that cushion of going,
Bang, bang.
hard at others. So that is the reason why Hardik Pandya was very confident of going after the bowlers. We saw today Surya Kumar Yadav.
Yes.
So his role is very different from others. We have to see overall what Virat Kohli adds.
Correct. Yep.
Also, the match before this, which we saw, South Africa had 2 left-arm spinners who would, quite frankly, had a ball. They had 5 wickets between them. Akshar Patel having a good match today.
Left armour to left armour.
Left armour to...
No, definitely he's a bowler who's got a lot of experience when we talk about T20 cricket, and he's been delivering. And we have to understand in T20 cricket for bowlers, it is more of a difficult situation.
Correct.
So we have to give them that cushion. And Akshar Patel, he will deliver. And I'm very sure what he's been doing, not only with the ball, with the bat as well.
Yes.
That is the reason he's been there. Yes, Ashwin came in, but you have to see why Chahal is sitting out. They could have played Chahal and Ashwin, but they went with Akshar because he can add value.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, good start from Bhuvaneshwar, 3 dot balls. And Nikhil, KL Rahul yet again, we all thought this was the match he was going to do it. Unlucky, do you think that he couldn't review it, or do you think again he got out to that in-swinger? Nikhil, can you hear us?
No, I thought it was a nothing shot that he played. I mean, on that front, may have tried to have played a. I mean, I think it just look at that particular shot, may have tried to play it differently. But again, if it wasn't his captain at the other and anyone else, he would have definitely gone for the review. But I guess with Rohit Sharma around and he also giving him the nudge that they have been hitting the stump, maybe that's why he decided not to go to. But I think it's an opener, your top, a batsman, one of your top batsmen. You should have gone for it even if there was an iota of doubt. So I'm surprised that Rohit didn't go along with KL wanting to review it. KL should have insisted a bit more, because more often you see that if it's a close call, it may be umpire's call, in which case you still at least don't waste a review. So there's no harm taking it. And most occasions I would have preferred the Indian team. As I said, the difference is minor, right, between the fact that he was given out and the fact that had he gone up to the third umpire, wouldn't have been given out. Who knows, he would have been the guy who gets that 50, and those runs under his belt may have helped him going forward. So on all accounts, I saw no reason why they wouldn't have gone for it.
All right, so Bhuvaneshwar has started off the maiden over, and let's see, what do you think will be the ideal margin of victory that India should aim at so that they head into the next game, which is very important against South Africa, equally high on confidence, because that is the second and the final pressure game that they have in this group. So, if you want to boost their net run rate, how much is the margin of victory should they aim for?
At least 30 to 40 runs. That is what is practically possible. I know, we could say that why not 60, 70, but you have to also understand that it's T20 format and Netherlands batsmen are good. They're not like they're just finding their form. They have been doing well. Round 1 games, if you see, and then if you see other
even
ones,
the game against Bangladesh, they lost by 9
also,
runs.
Yeah, exactly. So when you look at that, they're batting well. So practically, I feel if we do well, so that 30-40 runs margin will be very realistic.
Very, very realistic for them. So that is the situation that we have now. Netherlands need 180 to cause one of the biggest upsets in world cricket. India, on the other hand, will be eyeing a big win so that their net run rate is boosted, because their next clash is probably going to determine their place in the semi-finals. As I was even talking to Pragyan earlier, the India-South Africa game and the Pakistan-South Africa game determines who goes through to the semi-finals.
And actually, South Africa, that rain, this thing has actually thrown a spanner in their works.
Yeah, and if Pragyan would be obliged, we were discussing about that. You had a very hilarious instance on the rain before we sign off. Once, if you think rain is an irritant for all of us in a cricket match, for a player it is equally hard, as Pragyan will testify to it now. But he can also be on the receiving end of some very, very funny stuff. Pragyan, please tell us. We have to know this.
It's like humanly, if you talk about human patience, psychology, you cannot be switched on all the time and you cannot be switched off all the time. So it is important when you switch on and when you switch off. When it's raining and you don't know when the game starts or when the game, what exactly the situation is. So what happens is the player at times they find it little difficult because you have to be alert. You hardly, like today we saw only 20 minutes were there to prepare yourself. Luckily this was against Netherlands, but if you talk about crunch game, say if India was playing Pakistan or maybe South Africa, it's a different ball game. You have to be ready. You hardly get time to warm up, so you have to be switched on. So that is very important, and it really irritates you because when you get up, you start preparing yourself. When you're taking your shower, when you're packing your bags, when you go to the ground and the game doesn't start on time, it really irritates you. So it was like we were playing against New Zealand, a test match. So it rained heavily in Hyderabad. I don't want to name who it was.
Yes.
There was one of the senior guys, and I discussed that we are in Hyderabad, we need to have a breakfast, like typical Hyderabadi breakfast. We thought because the game will start post lunch, so we have enough time. But after having the lunch, because the drainage system was so good, it just took half an hour to get ready. And then we were looking at each other and we were like, I think that was a wrong decision.
Oh my goodness. Mayank Taplayal is like saying, Pragyan sir, it's good to see you here. I remember your debut series in Sri Lanka 2009. You bowled beautifully in it.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I think, that's when we became number one.
Yes, correct.
For the first time.
Yeah, I mean, Pragyan has been part of a epoch-defining 4 years. I mean, when he came 2009, we became number one. You also saw the end of Sachin Tendulkar's playing. Man, I'll hold it for a different debate altogether. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us. We'll be back with the post-match and hopefully with a big win for India.
Fingers crossed.
Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news on the T20 World Cup.
Like, comment, tap the bell icon. See you later.
See you later. Vanakkam.
Bye-bye.